Hello everyone and welcome to another report on the state of the co-prosperity sphere. This one recorded in January 1968. I believe it's our sixth report and the numbers have just come in and they are looking pretty good. So we can start by, as usual, looking at the states in the co-prosperity sphere. We have pretty good news. Japan as a whole grew by another whooping 4.4%. We are currently sitting at nearly 270 million American dollars in GDP, which means that the total growth for the past 6 years has been just slightly over 7% by 7.07%. Which is really good. If we can keep this one going, it would be amazing. I mean, we started with a pretty good growth initially. We had 4.28% in the first year, but then, we fell by 5.21, and then the recession came, or actually, that was the recession, then the stagnation came, and then we had 2 good years now. This one was actually really good. We had the fourth highest growth in the co-prosperity sphere, which is pretty amazing. Republic of China had a really bad year last year. They had a really bad year last year. This one is not so bad. They've actually grown by 0.69%, which is better than the loss of 8% last year. But I believe that this loss is still only caused by the fracturing of the state and a loss of quite a significant amount of territory. So we're going to see once that war is over where they really stand. Empire of Manchuria is actually now called the State of Manchuria, I think, and it has grown for 2.84%. So really not all that bad. And they finally gotten away from the negative overall growth. So now they are at 3.08% from the start of the game. So good for them. They are rising from the ashes like the proverbial phoenix. State of Guangdong has grown by another whooping 11.58%. Now, if they're going to have the same growth next year and Manchuria will have such a weak growth next year, they're going to become a number 3 in the co-prosperity sphere. So I'm really interested in seeing if that's going to be the case. They have had an unbelievable run, or actually increasing their total by 56.67% since the start of the game, which is just unbelievable. Same, China had also a very good run initially, but that's mostly because they absorbed quite a large territory, while Guangdong has just kept growing like crazy. I know they have a lot of story behind that, and people keep suggesting that I play them, so I might actually check them out later. Number 5 still belongs to Azadin government, who retained their growth of 3.51%. Total growth is now at nearly 25% with 23.62. I really like them. Slow and steady, no major changes. And they avoided the war with the Indian Republic, so that's pretty good. I am really happy for them. Number 6 belongs to, and that actually kind of shocked me, to Confederate Cities of Grenada. I completely missed the fact that they joined the co-prosperity sphere. We didn't get any message about it, nothing. But they did, and they are now sitting on the number 6 in the co-prosperity sphere with 7,190,000,000 in GDP, or 7.19 billion in short, which is kind of interesting. I checked that they had a little bit of a drop since last year. This number comes from the Civil War. I counted together all of the warring factions and they were sitting at 7.2 billion, so a very small decrease, but that might be just because of the destruction and recovery and some negative modifiers. I don't know. Number 7 belongs to Ferhiprim Shotorinji Seifu, who have kept growing by 1.79%. That is in line with their 3 previous years. Total growth now at 185%. But again, that's only because they absorbed the other two republics. They're probably not republics, states more like. Number 8 belongs to Republic of Indonesia. They've grown a little bit, 1.92%, so almost 2%, currently sitting at 6.37 billion. Number 9 belongs to Republic of Thailand, who retain their nice growth of 3.69%, pretty good, currently sitting at 27.81% in total growth since the start of the game. Number 10 belongs to another newcomer to the co-prosperity sphere, to Peru. Again, I completely missed the fact that they joined the co-prosperity sphere, but yet they are there now with 4.46 billion American dollars in GDP, sitting at number 10. They had a 4.45% growth since last year when they had 4.27 billion, so pretty good. Welcome to co-prosperity sphere. I wish you told us. Number 11 belongs to Union of Burma, growth of 2.26%. Number 12 to Vietnam, 1.19%. Number 13 to Mengyang, United Autonomous Government, growth of 3.72%. Currently sitting at 32.5%. That's a pretty decent total growth. I like that. Unfortunately, they're growing from nothing towards nothing, but still, it is pretty darn good. Number 14 belongs to Malaya, growth of 4.76%. They are currently sitting at 1.54 billion. Number 15, Sehoku Hamegun, 1.2 billion with 2.56%. Number 16 belongs to Cambodia with growth of 3.36%. They retain decent growth, currently at 20.57%. Not bad, not good, but the growth is steady. Number 17, Kingdom of Laos, 4.13%. They retain almost the same growth for the past 3 years. Pretty good for them, sitting at 0.655 billion. Number 18 belongs to Naipo Guisekan, growth of 1.74%, again in line with the previous year. They're not even at $500 million though in GDP. Number 19 belongs to Bhutan, 1.92% growth. They've added almost 20% since the start of the game, but still they are only at 106 million in GDP. And that's it. That's all of the members of Co-Prosperity Sphere, 19 of them at this point. I wonder if we can get some from the African situation. It would be kind of good if we added at least 1 or 2 members. But, the West African Alliance I don't think will. But the current Congolese situation might yield us someone. We'll see. Top 10 World Economies, 1968 edition. First one still belongs to the United States of America and will probably till the very end of the game. Unfortunately for them, they grew by only 2.12%, so one of the weaker years for them, but still they added more than $7.5 billion American dollars in GDP. It's just insane. Number 2 is us, 269.23 billion and growth of 4.4%. And number 3 is Großgermanisches Reich, 5.63%. Very good year for them. They're currently sitting at 253.64 billion. Number 4 traditionally belongs to Regno d'Italia, 119 billion 880 million, growth of 2.42%. One of their stronger years, I'd say, but nothing to write home about. Number 5 belongs to United Kingdom, growth of 1.68%, currently sitting at 92.96 billion. And really do wonder if they're gonna make it to 100 billion by the end of the year, end of the game, not end of the year, but end of the game. I think we have 5 more years ahead of us at this point. Number 6 belongs to Republic of China. We've already spoken about their very slow growth, 0.69%. Number 7 currently belongs to Brazil with 42.12 billion. They added whooping 9.37%. They are growing extremely fast. This is the 5th year in line where they retained growth nearing or slightly over 10%. That's just amazing. I wish we had that, honestly. Number 8 belongs to Empire of Manchuria, or the state of Manchuria at this point. 35.85 billion, as we said before, 2.84% in growth. Number 9 belongs to French state. They had a really good year of 8.08% in growth. That is actually one of the highest in the table this year, so pretty good. And number 10 belongs to Iberian Union. No surprise there, though they were jumped over by the French state, who was 10th last year, and now they're 10th. 10th last year, now they're 9th, and Iberian Union was 9th, and now they're 10th. 5.72% is still a pretty good growth, though, so I feel really happy for them. Global statistics. So the overall world GDP grew by 3.9%, by 68.13 billion American dollars. The sphere GDP, though, grew much faster, by 28.98 billion, which is a growth of nearly 7%. So we are finally again outgrowing the world's growth, which is significant because the value of the total sphere is increasing in regards to the other blocks and other countries. And the total sphere trade grew up by unbelievable 56.77% to 227.72 billion, which is a growth of astounding 82.46 billion American dollars. And the sphere share on the world economy, as we said, grew by 0.7% to 24.7. I think, we had in 1963 we had 25%. And since then, it is the highest result. Yep, we had 24.7 also in 1964. But yeah, it's good to see that we are growing faster than the world. You can see most of it in us, of course, and then in the top 4 countries. The rest is fairly insignificant. I mean, Azerbaijani government also is starting to add pretty decent numbers. But the rest is, generally speaking, completely insignificant. And the last but not least, additional statistics. So the total debt of Japan actually dropped by 0.37 billion American dollars. So for the first time in 4 years, we managed to lower our debt, our real debt. The debt to GDP ratio actually dropped to 98.4%, which is the best result since 1963. If we continue like this, we're gonna be on a record number next year, which I hope we can. Yearly surplus has returned to positive numbers. We have 2.19 billion in surplus, which is a change of 3.19 billion just within a year. That's amazing, really nice. And yearly surplus in percent has increased by 1.21% from minus 0.49 to 0.82% in surplus. Production units, though, we lost 9, but I think that that's because of the high oil imports. Once we stop doing that, we should be fine. Manpower increased by... Oh wait, this is not supposed to be a percentage, come on. This is supposed to be a number. Yep, it's 5.33. So 2 decimals. 5.33. Okay, 5.33, which is an increase of 250,000 of people. Exactly, so pretty good. Army force size actually increased by 15% to 372,200 men. I'm not entirely sure how the... I mean, I guess we've done quite a lot for the tank battalions, and we finally reinforced all of our special units, and we started working on the regular infantry units, but I'm kind of shocked that it's an increase of 15%. I wasn't expecting that, but okay. We're obviously able to pay for it. The navy size also increased by 6%, which is also kind of interesting. 273,920 men, and the Air Force size stayed the same. The population of Japan increased by 4.06 million, 235,760,000. The poverty rate unfortunately increased by 0.01%, but I'm gonna call that a statistical error. We basically stagnated since last year. And the scores. So score of US military increased by 20, the score of US economy increased by 8, but the overall score dropped by nearly 300 points, by 293 points. The score of German economy increased by whooping 147, oh actually no, that's the military, 147 points, which offsets the decrease of 110 last year. I still don't know what happened there, if they reformed some units or something. It's kind of weird, but okay. And their economy increased by 26, though their total score dropped by 378 points. I think it might have something to do with the defeats and that USA suffered. They probably got involved in those somehow as well, or maybe there was something. You know what? It might be because of the fall of the African colonies. That would make a lot of sense. No, that's just a conjecture. I don't really know. The score of Japanese military increased by 14 points, a first major change since 1965. The score of Japan economy increased by 9, but the overall score of Japan increased by 381 points, meaning we are, for the first time, the highest ranking superpower in the world. Though most of our points come from victories, not from economy or military, but we'll keep working on that. Approval in the House of Peers increased by 3%. Public approval increased by 18%, and the government stability dropped, unfortunately, by 3%, but it's fine. And before we end the game, actually end the episode, not the game, I have created two first graphs for this episode. This is the top 4 countries in the co-prosperity sphere, excluding Japan. You can see the variation of growth here. It's kind of interesting to see that China was growing the fastest, but I think it has still a lot to do with them absorbing the provinces around them. But then they sort of plateaued after a sharp drop. Empire of Manchuria really is just a straight line when you offset the statistical drops and increases. Guangdong, though, you can see is growing crazy. I actually didn't realize that they had a little bit of a drop in 1964, did they? 1964. Yeah, okay, but that was the worst year for us. They dropped by 4.77%. So I guess even they were hit by the issues that struck Japan. And Assadine government, just a straight upward trends, a slow and steady growth. And the last graph, or the second and the last graph that I created for now, is the top 3 world economies versus the world GDP. So you can see that while we are growing fairly nicely as a tri-state, with us and Germany basically starting just slightly higher than we, or actually ending just slightly higher where we started, and USA just completely growing upwards, and actually added quite a lot. Interesting. The world economy has been growing like crazy. I didn't realize how dramatic the growth was. So from less than 1.55 trillion dollars to more than 1.8 trillion. So we are very close to hitting 2 trillion in the world GDP very soon, and it's just it's nearly 400 billion in just a couple of years. It's interesting to see it that way. Okay, so that's all for the 1968 report on the state of co-prosperity sphere. I hope you enjoyed it. The numbers are starting to look pretty nice. As far as we are concerned, there is not a single nation that would be worse off than they started in the beginning of the game, which makes me really happy. I would just really like to see Japan not so much in red when it comes to comparison. We have the second slowest growth in the entirety of the co-prosperity sphere. What a shame for display. yeah, we need to get. But we have a big chance to jump over Vietnam and maybe even over Indonesia in the next report. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. So thank you very much. See you in the next one.